welcome to Floater. Today we're going to talk to Shiva Liverman, and she's going to tell us her float story about her first float. So thanks, Shiva, for sharing with us about your float story.
No problem.
All right, so let's start with why did you want to float? What drew you to floating?
What drew me to floating had to be one, the group of people that I was with that introduced me to it. I have to say I had reservations about it. I had never heard of such a thing, and it was hard for me to imagine. And then once it became close to time, and I'd ask a couple questions like, "What's it like? What's it like? What do you think? What's it like?" I felt like it was something that I needed to do. I needed to try it. I was going to be out of town. Why not do something different? So, and I was promised this relaxation. So I was like, okay, I'm all in. Let's do it.
Yeah, who doesn't need a little relaxation?
Right.
So what was the tank like? Was it a large tank? Was it a smaller tank?
It was a large tank. This tank was about 8 feet long, about 6 feet wide, and about 7 feet tall. And I felt like I was stepping into it reminded me of a steel refrigerator door, like that.
Right.
So they open it up. It's dark inside, but the water's warm, same temperature body. And I was prepped for a shower, which was so nice, so relaxing. Everything that they had in there, the whole scenery was nice. And then you can actually step into this tank. It was like a small pool almost. It was like a small pool.
So what was it like once you stepped in there? You shut the door. You laid down. Did you? What was your experience like while you were inside the tank?
Okay, so before going in, I wanted to make sure to set my intentions of you're gonna go in there and you're gonna relax. I knew that I wanted to be able to let go and just relax and float in a matter of about 15 minutes. So I didn't want to be, I'm serious, I didn't want to waste any time. So I kind of went in with this plan of, just talking to myself and saying, you're gonna relax, you're gonna be fine, you're gonna do this, it's gonna be so nice, just imagining myself in my head floating and not being nervous about it. So once they opened the door, I felt a little bit of nervousness, okay, this is real, it's really about to happen. Are you gonna do it or not? And I'm like, oh, I'm gonna do it, and I'm gonna do well, and I need this. I just kept telling myself I need this, and I'm gonna do well. Once I got in, I tried to, and I say this to anybody, try to read a little bit about it or learn a little bit about it before you go, because that helped me a lot. I was able to use a technique to keep my head, above for 2 hours. It gets heavy trying to hold your head up when you're floating. I was able to, figure out what I wanted to do with my arms. I know it sounds simple, but are they going to be here? Are they going to be there? You need to find that comfortable place, and that's what I did, and I was able to do it pretty quickly. And once I did that, I just spent most of my time really focusing on what was happening at that time and enjoying it. It was amazing to me. It felt amazing. Just the warm salt water on my body. A lot of books and magazines or whatever to tell you that the water feels like you don't know where your body ends, or begins, and it just mixes in with the water, and you just feel like you're going with it. Several times I imagined myself just floating in a body of water, like an ocean. That's what I saw. It was nothing around it. There was no land, no nothing. Just me floating in a body of water, and and it would be very nice and serene and peaceful, and I'd be like, oh, this is amazing. And then for a second I realized, like, oh my God, you're floating too far, like in my head, and I get nervous. And before you knew
You
it,
pull back a little bit.
yeah, you pull back into reality a bit. Okay, so and then I had to remind myself, like, there's a wall here and there's a wall here.
Right.
You're not going anywhere. Let's go back. Let's go back. That was a nice place, and it wasn't hard for me to go back. Like, once and the books tell you, like, you'll get distracted, just like during meditation. You'll get distracted, but have a focal point to keep bringing you back and keep bringing you back to where you are. Yeah. And I would even say out loud to myself, let's go back to where you were, if that's what you need to do.
Right.
So.
Yeah. So it was you felt a lot of the physical relaxation.
Absolutely. I was aware of my body, everything that was going on with my body. I remember the moment when I realized that I was more tense than I thought. I'm laying there and I'm floating and I'm like, oh, this is cool, And then I dropped an arm and realized, you can let go a little bit. So I dropped another arm, and just let the water take it. Relax your feet, relax your knees, relax your hips, relax everything, and just let the water take you. And that right there is, that is an awareness. I didn't even know, that I was doing that. I thought I was doing pretty good until you actually, take focus to that part of your body.
Right.
And it's kind of like a body scan. You start with your head, you clear your head, and you go down to your toes until everything is soft and pliable and floaty, and you've released it to the water.
That's awesome. So while you were in there, you just had that, the visualization of, being in a large body of water. You were able to relax.
Yeah.
Was there anything else, like any other images that came to your mind, or anything that you can remember, self-talk of any kind that kind of was beneficial? Or
I remember it's like total darkness, and after a while your eyes start to become accustomed and you think you can see something, and it was never like an image of anything. I just thought I saw light. I actually thought that I saw like a crack where light was shining through that crack, and I say to myself, I thought it was supposed to be pitch black dark in here, but I see a crack of light, and by the time so my eyes are open and I'm looking at it, I'm floating, I'm looking at it, I close my eyes, I open them again, and it was gone. And I just kind of laughed about it, like, there was no light. I should have known better than to think that was light, but it felt real for a second.
Yeah. That's normal.
Yeah. I think that's very normal, but I never did see anything, just that image of myself, which was and that was most of the time. I remember feeling like I've been in there so long that maybe they forgot about me. I'm like, oh, this has been like, it's had to be more than 2 hours. It had to be more than that. But no, of course not. And I think that's kind of it. I've heard of people, seeing different imagery and things like that, but I didn't have that kind of experience.
I don't have that kind of experience either.
Right.
Like, a lot of people do have that psychedelic or hypnic,
Yeah, that didn't happen for me.
Yeah.
And that was fine.
That's fine.
That really wasn't.
Beneficial.
It really wasn't what I was looking for going into it, but that was one thing that kind of scared me a little bit. Anytime that I think about a psychedelic or a hallucinogen, and I think about, it manifests from what's in you. And I mean, I think I'm a great person, but I don't know, what those deep, dark thoughts or what might be bothering me deep inside, and I was afraid of what might present itself. But then that was a part of setting my intention. Like, you know that you're a good person, Shiva. There's no evil, there's no darkness in you. You know, like you're gonna be fine. Like, you're gonna see, it's gonna be great. It's gonna be a relaxing, positive experience for you. And it was. I didn't.
Right.
I think that would have scared me.
Right.
And I didn't want that. That wasn't what I was looking for. But I was looking for extreme, like to the top, letting go, relaxation. I don't want to feel any stress. I don't even want to carry the weight of my own body for 2 hours. That's what I want to do.
So once your time was up and you got out and you got back into the day or evening, what did you feel any different after that?
Well, I mean, you get to end it with a shower, an amazing shower, you know, with the soaps and oils and all that, and your skin already feels amazing from the saltwater tank. So, I mean, that started it all. But then as the evening went on and you was processing what happened, it took me weeks to process fully all of what I got, everything that happened. Why did this happen? Why did you feel that way? What, did you get out of it? And as I thought about it more and more, I would, figure out something different about myself or about that experience. One thing for sure, I can't wait to get back. But, I remember saying if this was something that I had access to, like in my home, I'd at least do it once or twice a week. At least once, and I'd like to do it twice a week.
Yeah.
That's how amazing it is. Like, it should be a part of your daily life. Like, if it could be, that something like that should be a part of your daily life. Just as much as you get up and you go to work and you deal with the stress of life and everything else that's going on, we should always have a place to go to release. And that was a perfect place to go.
And that downtime is important.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Was there anything else you want to talk about? Floating in general, or your experience, or?
I would just want people to become aware of everything that's out there, to be open, to not be as, afraid of things just because we don't know about them. Ignorance often holds us back from a lot. A lot of the things that I've discovered that have helped me throughout my life, with those things in life, whether it be, physical pain or emotional pain or stress or whatever it might be, we have to deal and cope because it's life, it comes. So I encourage every time that I find something, it might work for me, but it also might work for another person. So I'm all about spreading that word. I want people to know about it, try it, do it, give it a chance. And know that your experience is your personal experience. Don't compare it to anyone else's.
Right.
I very much knew that just because this person saw unicorns and helicopters flying around, like that wasn't even something that I was interested in. And like I said, I think that would have scared me. So set your intentions before you go in. And if you don't know about setting intentions, then read a little bit about meditation, because that can help you also while you're in there.
Right.
I think that floating is a form of meditation. It absolutely is, because you're like I said, I spent that time focused on where I am, being present in my body, and knowing, this is what's happening, and just enjoying it every second, everything that changed, I was aware. Every movement in my body, I was aware. Breathing, that was a big thing. I noticed that, if you hold your breath and you're tense, you're gonna kind of drop a little bit lower under the water. Just like, if it wasn't full of salt, you drop down to the bottom of the ocean. To float, you need to take bigger breaths, and if I would fill my lungs and take big, nice breaths, not only does that help your body, you're circulating great oxygen through your body, but you're also like making yourself like float to the top, to the highest point that you could. And like even that was a feeling of power almost, you know, to realize that I can do this, but I can be here if I do this. And I figured that out, you know, and that was a part of me though. That's a part of who I am, of trying to do that. So everybody, you find your own thing, you work at it, conquer it while you're in there, and come out feeling amazing. That's what I would say. Set an intention and rock it all the way.
Absolutely. When you're in that, you know, the float environment, you know, you have less gravity on you, so it makes it easier to breathe.
Absolutely.
So like, you know,
felt amazing.
So you're just the simple act of breathing becomes easier and different. And when you're in a floating environment, you can access those theta brain waves, which can produce. There's two different theta states. There's that hypnagogic state where you're seeing like hallucinations, which is fine and it's normal. Everyone has it. And then there's another type. I believe it's called like a cortical. I can't really remember off the top of my head, but basically it's more of like what you were experiencing, that internal awareness of like every single part of your body, and just bringing your attention to your mind is focusing within your body instead of focusing on everything else in the world. So,
and I think that is something that I do every day. I feel a separation between my mind and my body every day. I can be completely tired, but I know I have to go and do all these things, and I push my body to do what it doesn't want to do sometimes, or something like that. But in this moment, I was able to bring the two together, which is rare. And that in itself, you know, like I said before, it was just an awareness of this is what it feels like. This is me. Like, this is what it feels like.
Able to be more
just
present.
Be present.
Exactly.
It's amazing.
And that's the apex of reality, is to be present in the present moment. So, absolutely. Well, thanks for sharing your float story with us. And
absolutely.
Hopefully we can talk again and get some more floats under your belt.
Absolutely. I can't wait.
All right, guys. Floater out.